Okay, so welcome to the Funnel Mechanics. This is our monthly chat with somebody in the marketing business who's going to give us an insight into. Excuse me a sec. To the Funnel Mechanics. Sorry, that's me making an error. Let's do that. There we go. So it is live, as you can see. We're just checking it was on Facebook, and it was. So anyhow, let me start again. So hello and welcome to the Funnel Mechanics. This is our monthly insight into different aspects of online marketing. And today I'm really delighted to have Fiona Johnson, who is a PR expert, and she deals and works with small businesses. But I'm going to let her tell us all about it. But before we start, she's got an unusual business name, which is Piggy Goes to Market. So I'm fascinated to understand why she chose such a interesting term. So Fiona, tell me more. Why Piggy Goes to Market?
Well, yes, I suppose I like to be quirky. It's definitely memorable, and I have to say the journalists love it. They don't get me in a hurry. But the real reason, obviously nothing to do with real pigs. I'm not a pig keeper or anything, but it's about taking products to market. So it was quite a catchy name, Piggy Goes to Market, taking products to market.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so, okay, so that's an explanation. Right, so tell me about you and your business.
So there's a bit of background. We set up a couple of years ago, working with medium-sized and small local businesses in the sort of Thames Valley area, ranging mostly lifestyle businesses, but we help small businesses with their launch. We just help businesses to raise their profile, create brand awareness, and just help get their name out there and raise their profile to help them gain customers.
Okay, so PR is such a highfalutin sort of name that small business thinks probably out of their remit or wouldn't be in any of their marketing channels that they would use. So if you were in an elevator with somebody who has no idea what PR is all about, how would you explain it to them in layman's terms?
Okay, it's a very good question, actually, because lots of people get confused between public relations and advertising and marketing, for that matter. Marketing is this huge umbrella that covers so many disciplines, and PR, if you like, public relations, is just one of them. And I suppose the easiest way to describe it is public relations is your public face. It's anything that influences your customers, potential customers, suppliers, anyone who has anything to do with your company or thinks they know about your company. That's public relations. It's conveying the message to all of them. So it's very much, it's very broad, and it also has the potential to be quite fluffy because it's so broad. So what we try and aim to do at Piggy Goes to Market is narrow it down and be constructive.
Okay, so we'll go into some of that, I think, through the conversation that we're going to have. But so because it's fluffy, there's going to be myths and all of that stuff that goes around the PR and how it's handled, etc. So what are the top 3 myths you think most small businesses have about PR?
Yes, they do have myths, and I can understand why they might. And I suppose in no particular order, I think that I would probably start with the one that people think they can do it themselves. Maybe because they don't understand what public relations is, or even the benefits of public relations. So they might just see public relations as, I can post something on Facebook, therefore that must be public relations. I can send a tweet, I can possibly, I've got a friend who's a journalist, maybe I can get them to do something to help raise our profile and get our name in the press. But what they don't perhaps understand is the consistency and the targeting that you need to do around it. There's no point in just sort of throwing mud at a wall and hoping some of it sticks. You need to have a clear message, and you need to make sure that message is delivered in the right way to the right people. And so I suppose that's where, obviously I'm biased, but that's where public relations done properly can help. The other, I suppose, alongside that as another myth is people don't think they need it. Because perhaps they, again, don't realise the benefits. And maybe that's slightly, again, comes under the banner of marketing. Perhaps they know they need marketing, but they're not sure what bit they need or how they need it or why and how they go about it. And, oh, you know what, it's so confusing and it's such a grey area, let's just not do it.
Right.
Again, or let's try and do it ourselves. So I think the two go together, but that's another myth.
Mm-hmm.
And another myth I would say is this whole, and this is tricky, measuring public relations is actually quite difficult. It's not tangible.
Yeah.
You can just say, we did X and we got Y as a result. There are ways to help measure public relations. And I mean, for example, if you had an article in the press, or say you did an event, as an example, then you could measure how many articles you got in the press. You could see what circulation figures are. You can look at website statistics. There are ways around it, but it's not black and white. You can look at sales year on year or month on month, before the event, after the event. But again, it's very difficult to say absolutely exactly. So as a result, I think people and businesses might say, I'm not sure about this. It's probably going to cost me a lot, and what are my results? It doesn't have to cost a lot. I think that's the bottom line, depending on what you want. But I can understand their sort of hesitation because there are no obvious results.
Yeah, I mean, you said earlier that it's got that fluffy connotations around it. It's difficult for people to put their handle on it. But like all marketing, it can be quite difficult if you don't have sound objectives, sound strategies, and sound consistent plans to actually deliver it. And that goes with any part of the marketing channels that you use, of which PR is one of the many that you can use.
Yes.
And what is out of those three, what is the biggest one that most small businesses fail to understand or get their heads around?
It is probably the fact that they think they need it. They kind of know they ought to look at some public relations marketing. And this thing of, obviously, small businesses, budgets are tight, so they think they can do it themselves.
Yeah.
It takes an awful lot of time and effort. It's very difficult to see results. And if it's not done properly, as you said, clear messages and concise planning, it's actually a waste of their time. They'd be better off working on their business and outsourcing or talking to someone who can give them advice.
Okay. So if people are doing it themselves, you must have seen some huge, can it do more damage than it can benefit? Because PR is about benefiting you and getting the right message and etc. around there. But I presume if you do it incorrectly, you can absolutely ruin your reputation quite quickly. Or am I putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5 here?
No, you're right. It's a good question. I mean, damage, I suppose they could, yes. For example, I mean, the classic one is social media. One of the arms of public relations is crisis management. How often do we hear about celebrities tweeting without thinking, let's be honest? Yeah. And on the cold light of day, you look at that and think, what possessed them? They have opened a complete can of worms, whether it's damaging their brand, their business, their personality. You're right, on that scale, it is damaging. Chances are it's more, for the sort of businesses we're talking about, it's just a kind of waste of time and effort and money.
Yeah,
and not doing things properly and not being clear and consistent with their message, perhaps going off tangent. As I said earlier, throwing mud at the wall and just kind of hoping some of it sticks.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be hard to get that mud off the wall. So if you were advising somebody on starting PR, where would be the first step that you would get them to consider? What's the first thing, and as a result, what's the biggest mistake that somebody who does start often stumble into? So when looking for a PR person, so this is more geared about when looking for your type of expertise, what's the thing that you would want your PR expert as a small business to have and be able to help you with?
Well, I'd say to a business, public relations assistants, is to look at, it's going to be really obvious, but for example, if they're in IT, they should be looking at someone with IT experience. It's all about a fit and a connection. So look at a business's track record, see if they've got some case studies. Is there anything that the business can relate to that makes them think this person knows what they're talking about? That's something, a project I would like, or a campaign I would like to copy. As I said, some businesses specialise, so you want to make sure there's a good tie-in from that point of view. It's all relationships. Obviously, budget. Sorry.
No, carry on. Sorry,
budgets and costs and transparency.
Yeah.
Making sure that it's a people person. I think on the whole, you work together as a team.
Yeah.
Because it's a very fluid arrangement between the two sides.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's about getting on with people and communicating. And remember that your PR person is supporting you. And so don't sort of let them bamboozle you into doing what they think's right. Obviously, they've got advice, but it's a two-way.
Yeah. So is that about being uncomfortable doing something? Because some people can be quite uncomfortable, especially because PR is about putting yourself forward and putting yourself possibly in front of the radio, possibly in front of a reporter. And they can be quite scared of that. So is that the advice? What's the advice you give to people, if they've got that potential issue? Do it or get through it or what? Or do you help them or what's
practice what I preach now as I'm sitting here nervously? I think the thing to bear in mind is there's another reason I know I'm harking back, but why people think they can do it themselves. Sometimes it's very hard to sell yourself or sell a business that is perhaps your baby, which is why it's easier to get to.
Yeah.
So it's the same process again. And say a radio interview. The person whose business it is has got the passion, and I suppose I would use I would talk them through it. I would help them with the interview process.
Yeah.
They don't have to do it. I'd never make someone do something they don't want to do. But again, it's got to be on message. It's got to be right. It's got to be consistent. So maybe in that particular case, a radio interview wouldn't be suitable for the client or the brand.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about some of the starting points and what to look out for a PR person. So the trends, because lots of social media and trends and marketing go through a whole plethora of changes, and you can see things, trends happening going forward. Do you see in 2018 any trends at all with PR? Anything that you think might sort of be key for people to look out for if they're thinking of doing PR?
Yes, there are. I mean, it's almost, there are always trends, of course, like the fact we're moving away from perhaps more traditional media, but it would depend on the product and the business in particular. With social media, there are always new channels opening up. But sometimes the simplest forms are still the best, again, depending on the client and the brand. And I think it's just to be aware. I mean, Facebook's a good example. It's moved on from where it started, so much so. So you just need to keep aware of that. But also with public relations, often it's not sitting here now saying this will be a trend. It's reacting to something that perhaps is coming up in the press, or it might be an event, say the Olympics are taking place or there's a sporting event, to tying around that. It's trying to sort of work out where the public are going with their views and opinions and marketplace from that point of view.
Yep. We've actually got a comment from Sarah Southey, who says she's still reaping the benefits in my brand awareness roadshows that the lovely Fiona organised. So you've definitely got some fans out there, Fiona.
So, good to hear from you. Yes, that was a fantastic project, actually.
Can you say anything about the project that you sort of...
I'd love to. So Sarah Southey set up the Southey Way, which was about helping people to get fit for life. Mm-hmm. So rather than trying to drop a dress size, say, it was about reaping long-term benefits and actually changing your lifestyle to just sort of naturally help yourself get out of perhaps a rut that you're in. And obviously everyone comes to it with different stories. Anyway, what we decided to do was to hold a series of road shows and events in local towns to create awareness amongst people. So we travelled through, Marlborough, Hungerford, Thatcham, Newbury, all sorts of places, Oxfordshire as well. And we created this challenge where we pitted towns against each other to see which could be the strongest town.
What a great idea.
And therefore all the weights were things, household items, so sacks of potatoes, bags of dog food. And we set up this challenge, and we got people walking past on a Saturday morning to help to join in and join this fun event. Anyway, on the back of that, we got fantastic press coverage, radio interviews. We also managed to create help sort of create databases of names and pieces, which so for newsletters, and I know even now, I hope Sarah won't mind me saying, but she still gets people coming up to her and saying, "Oh, I remember you." Yeah, and we actually tied it all in with the mental health charity Mind as well, so we got their support. So it was a very big event. It was great.
Yeah. Excellent. Sounds like so that one, if I was to sum it up, was more about putting yourself out locally, because Sarah is a local business that was trying to just expand within the local business. So PR isn't about across the nation with the big press, with the big media. It's you can make it very local and very powerfully locally get success in getting your business awareness out there.
Definitely. I mean, it's all about targeting. There is no point in, as much as it would be really nice to have an article in the Sunday Times, if it's relevant, but if your audience are local businesses or local customers, you'd be better off to target it appropriately, and it might just be something in the local community.
That's very sound advice. So it just doesn't have to be, you don't have to think humongous type PR, and that's what I think one of the myths I've always said is that it's going to go to the Times, it's going to go to the BBC, it's going to go to that, and actually it may go to them, but it may be in the local vicinity to help. Hence, you don't have to go and spend the big bucks, because to try and get into those can be quite expensive if you had to try and post into their PR machine type thing.
It's about knowing it's about knowing who your audience is. It's very important to be clear who your target audience are, who your customers are, your ideal customers. That's not just your new ones, but that's existing ones too, and making sure that you speak to them in their language.
Yeah, excellent. So, do you have have you written any blogs or can we send them off to a blog site for them to go and find out about the basics at all of PR?
I have been known to blog, and they are mostly on my website, and some of them are dotted around. So yes, I mean, they're also, it's such a broad area. I mean, I do cover lots of different topics, and I'm open to suggestions if there's something else that someone would like me to cover, because I'm very happy to
okay. So let me just get hold of let me put your URL into the box so people can see that, and then I will post it later after the there we go. So that's your website.
Yes.
It goes to market, so hence why we asked the name at the beginning of the show. If I take those off, people can see yourself still. So in there they'll find some articles and help and advice about starting about PR, and obviously about the sort of things that you have done in the past. So is there anything coming up in the future that you're looking to achieve at all that might be of interest for people?
Well, I think what I'm looking to achieve, apart from, alongside helping small businesses, is to also help them with their branding. And I think that come under public relations. We've very much focused on sort of the press, and I say press in the loosest sense, obviously it covers website, so I should say media relations. But branding as well comes under public relations. It's all part of image and the business's image, and that, again, as I said right at the beginning, it's your public face. Okay. So particularly going to be focusing on branding and making sure that companies are on message with their branding, are consistent, and just conveying just the right message.
Yeah.
And they need to be clear and concise.
So can I just quickly ask a question about branding? Because to a layman, it's just the logo, it's the Nike swish, it's the Amazon, no?
I mean, yes, you're right. Amazon's a good example. It's so distinctive. Everyone knows it. Yeah. But it's more than branding. It's more than the logo, because that's part of it. But it's the message. So it's saying when you're posting on Instagram or Facebook, it's the way your message is written to tie in with your logo, or the way you might do some infographics, or even your letterhead. It's something as simple as that. How it's the sort of big overall picture. They will work together to help each other, and mostly they need to be consistent, and all too often they're not.
Okay, so that's where you're going to be looking to be helping clients over the next period of time.
Yes,
helping them understand and build a proper brand about their business.
Yes, and again, it's not just visuals. It might be the content in their website.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Well, that sounds like a fantastic challenge for you, and an opportunity, because I know a lot of people look at the big brands and say, well, there's no point in doing branding, and actually it's quite a key part of a business, and it's a key part of the PR. Get it right at the beginning and your messages will hang together, and there'll be more about consistency, trust and belief about it, and people then get to understand the reputation of the business going forward.
It is. It's about making sure that they've got their right place in the marketplace.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Fiona, for spending half an hour with me on PR, why it's important and relevant for a small business. I hope the audience and whoever gets to see the video later will pick up some useful information here. And if you ever need a good PR, then I can recommend Fiona and her business to helping small businesses achieve great publicity within the local and national press. So again, thank you very much, Fiona, and hopefully we'll get you back on later and we can do a more in-depth conversation in the next year about what's happened in the PR world.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's lovely.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.